What's up, YouTube? Today we're looking at 10 top teams for the Open Great League. Now, this is the last rotation of the Open Great League for this season, so if you're trying to make a push, this is the time to do it. So before we hop into the top 10 teams, let's take a look at the top 20 ranked Pokemon according to PvPoke. At the number 1 spot, we've got Galarian Corsola, followed by Credilli, Gastrodon, Azumarill, Shadow Marowak, Dusclops, Stunfisk, regular Marowak, Shadow Dusknoir, Bastiodon, Altaria, Shadow Dragonair, Dusknoir, Corviknight, Goodra, Araquanid, Bellibolt, Gligar, Lickitung, and Shadow Dusclops. Now, some of these you're pretty much never going to see, like the Bellibolt, Araquanid, even the Gligar and the Lickitung. They're pretty much never found, but the rest of these are definitely top meta picks. So without further ado, let's take a look at 10 top teams. Alright, heading into team number 1 is, of course, my Legend team. Now, I was vouching for Amoonguss for the longest time because it has such positive matchups into a lot of the top meta Pokemon. I was seeing so much Corsola, I was seeing Credilli, Gastrodon, Azumarill, Dusclops, Stunfisk, Marowak. So this Pokemon is incredibly neutral and safe into a lot of those. Dedenne is another good one. And that's why I felt like it was a great core breaker. It also covers the weaknesses of Empoleon on the lead, right? So Empoleon is weak to fighting, it's weak to electric, it's weak to ground. So as a grass poison, you neutralize that ground weakness and you resist both fighting and electric. And then Altaria in the back, similar role, resisting the fighting and the ground, neutralizing the electric. And one of the problem Pokemon for this team you might think is Dedenne on the lead. However, Empoleon paces the exact same as Dedenne, and you actually win CMP, assuming the Dedenne is a lower attack Dedenne, and most of the time you're going to win CMP with the Empoleon, and you pace the exact same, so you can just stay in, throw those Hydro Cannons, match shields, even give your opponent like the alignment that they want, as long as you get a farm down with the Amoonguss, and you'll be in a good position. I am going to take a look at this team once again once the Open Great League rotation comes back around, but with a different Pokemon on the safe swap. So look forward to seeing that in tomorrow's video. Team number 2 actually has the Dedenne that we were just talking about, and actually 3 Pokemon in the top 30 ranked Pokemon. We've got Dedenne, Corviknight, and Toedscool. The idea behind this team is that Dedenne is weak to both ground and poison, so Corviknight on the safe swap resisting both of those is really great, and then Corviknight weak to both fire and electric. Electric resistant on both of the remaining 2 Pokemon. Toedscool has super effective Mud Slap into fire, and Dedenne has neutral matchups into a lot of the fire, but the most common fires are fire flyers, so having that Thundershock Parabolic Charge is really nice. And then Toedscool in the back pretty much covers your lead's weaknesses as well. Hit super effect or resist ground as a grass, and hit super effective on the poisons with the ground. So very solid team here, pretty decent bulk as well. And yeah. Team number 3 is Unova Stunfisk, Furret, and Shadow Alolan Ninetales. This is a team that I kind of used earlier in the season and had a decent amount of success with. The core between Stunfisk and both of the back 2 Pokemon is really strong. Of course, there are some problem Pokemon for this team, as there are with any team, but the idea behind this team is that you've got a electric on the lead, and electric is only resisted by 3 things. Those things are grass, ground, and dragon. So what hits super effective into all of those resisted typings is ice. So having that Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales in the back is really nice. And then Fairy basically pairs perfectly with ground, just because when you think about what Fairy is weak to, you're weak to poison, you're weak to steel, you're resisted by fire. So having that super effective Mud Bomb coverage into all of those, except for, the flying version of those, but guess what? Thundershock and Discharge will hit super effective there, is just a really great combo. And then for it, it's just a very neutral safe swap. It beats a lot of the top meta, as it's a Sucker Punch user, so it's good against the Ghost as a normal type, and then it has that Trailblaze for coverage as well. The next team we're going to take a look at is Alolan Sandslash, Claydol, and Shadow Gyarados. The idea behind this team is that you've got an Ice and Steel on the lead, which can kind of core break a lot of teams. A lot of teams are weak, like ABA weak to Ice sometimes, and then having that Drill Running for coverage is really nice. And then you've got Claydol on the safe switch, resisting the fighting weakness of your lead, and you have super effective Mud Slap and Rock Tomb into the fire weakness of your lead. And then Gyarados as a water flyer, resists the fire, fighting, and ground weakness of your lead. The reason you're running the non-shadow Sandslash on this team is because you need that extra bulk, and both Claydol and Sandslash have that decent bulk, especially the non-shadows. And then you've got Shadow Gyarados in the back, which is kind of like a 2-shield beast with that Dragon Breath Aqua Tail spam, covering the weaknesses of your lead. And also your safe swap Claydol is really good at luring out things that Sandslash doesn't want to face, but then it has, or things that don't want to face the Sandslash, and then you have that super effective same coverage with both Mud Slap and Ice Beam. So that's really nice there as well. The next team is Gastrodon, Turtonator, and Togekiss. Now the reason you might recognize ground plus flyer. It's absolutely everywhere, and the reason I'm running Togekiss is because Togekiss is a flyer that beats the other flyers in this format. The most common flyers are Corviknight. You've got, let's see, Fearow, I guess, is another one, which you could run as well instead of the Togekiss. But there's another flyer I was thinking of that is not coming to my mind right now. But basically, Togekiss beats all the other flyers, and it just got that really great coverage with Psyshock and Aura Sphere, making it a very versatile Pokemon. And then Turtonator as a Dragon Fire, of course, double resisting your double weakness on the lead, which is Grass. And then it has that really nice coverage with Brutal Swing and Dragon Claw into the majority of the meta. Just a very solid ABC style team here. The next team we're going to take a look at is Dartrix, Jellicent, and Shadow Bastiodon. I looked at a very similar team earlier in the season with Leafage, Dartrix, and a Carbink in the back. And Carbink is nice because it's one of the few Pokemon that completely walls Corviknight, at least its charge moves. Bastiodon, of course, doesn't wall it, and Sand Attacks are double super effective, but that's why we're running the Shadow Bastiodon here on this team. And Shadow Bastiodon actually picks up a unique win against the Corviknight. Just the smackdowns add up enough where one Stone Edge is enough to knock out. And then Jellicent on the safe switch, just resisting the poison weakness of your lead, resisting the ice weakness of your lead, having super effective coverage with Surf into Rock, as well as your other weaknesses. So it's a very solid ABC style team here, where both of the back two Pokemon cover the lead's weaknesses fairly well, and then also the core between the back two Pokemon is decent as well. The next team we're going to take a look at is Shadow, Scizor, Goodra, and Marowak. So this is a very solid ABC style team. If I'm honest, another Pokemon you could run instead of the Shadow Scizor for this team would be the Fortress, Bug Bite Fortress at that. And this team would work just as well. And then you're going to see another team with Fortress where I'd said maybe it'd actually be better to run the Shadow Scizor. So just kind of flip those around. But Goodra on the safe swap is really, really strong. It doesn't have a lot of super hard answers in this meta. Of course, fairies are going to be tough, like your Wigglytuff and your Tinkaton. But you've got, if you get one of those, if you lure those out, then you just punish with a Scizor, and then Marowak can run free with some shields. Or you can lean into the Scizor depending on what you think the weaknesses of the team is. If you're doing some team reading, what is that final Pokemon in the back? But yeah, it's a very solid ABC style team. Scizor, double weakness to fire, that's its only weakness. You're covering your fire weakness with a Dragon, which has Aqua Tail, and a ground with Mud Slap and Rock Slide, which is fire for super effective damage. The next team we're going to take a look at is Shadow Steelix, Fearow, and Shadow Annihilape. Now, the core between Annihilape and Steelix isn't unheard of. This has been around for a couple seasons now, but now we're just throwing Fearow in as the safe swap. And now the reason this is so strong is what Steelix is weak to, right? You've got your weakness to both fighting and ground on the lead, so having that flyer is really nice. And then obviously you're weak to fire and water as well. You've got two Pokemon weak, neutral to water in the back, and then you've got super effective fire coverage with the Drill Run on the Fearow, and if it's a fire flyer, which is the most common fire in this meta, Steelix is just totally fine there because you've got the Thunder Fang for coverage. Steelix also covers the majority of Annihilape's weaknesses, right? Psychic, Fairy, Flying, resists all those as a steal. This is the team I was talking about where you probably would rather run just the Shadow Scizor because you've got so much bulk in the back as is that you can commit your shields to the Scizor on the lead. But kind of same idea. You got your Bug Steel on the lead, which has one weakness, which is double weakness to fire. You cover that fire weakness with a water and a Azumarill in the back, and then a Ghost on the safe swap, which has coverage into the fires with Power Gem. So very solid team here. A lot of bulk in the back line, especially if you're running the Shadow Scizor, but very solid ABC style team here. The final team that we're going to take a look at is the Galarian Stunfisk, actually the Seeking on the safe swap and then a Murkrow in the back. This is more of an off-meta team, but it's very similar to a team that I ran earlier in the season with Galarian, Stunfisk, Seeking, and Altaria. And that was a fantastic team. The core between Stunfisk and Altaria is very strong, and likewise with Murkrow, because you still got that fairy weakness, but you're also weak to electric, you're weak to rock, you're weak to ice. So Galarian Stunfisk as a ground steel, which does well into pretty much all of those, is really great. And then Seeking on the safe swap, that pacing with Peck is really nice, and then that coverage between Drill Run and Icy Wind is also really nice. The fantastic thing about Seeking is it only has 2 weaknesses, right? It's a mono water type. It's weak to electric and grass, but guess who has super effective coverage into both of those? It's Seeking. So that's why I love Seeking on the safe swap. I think it's definitely an underrated Pokemon for this format, but very solid core here. Same with Stunfisk, underrated in my opinion. All these Pokemon are kind of underrated. I think Murkrow gets a decent amount of play, but the 3 together you'd probably never see, and it's a fun team to run. That said, I am going to say thank you to the expert trainer members on this channel: Benny Hemlock, Dark Green Mustache, Eliana, Perry G, Blue Nation, Peter Rushworth, Chompus Clips, Sons of Code, and Sohan Patil, as well as an extra special thank you to the legend trainer members on this channel: Andrew Pitten, Musaju, Noodleman, Speedster, Esteros, Fast Idiot Boss, CD Slaskus, and Star Bonsai. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace!